I think the live and let live policy is not a bad policy to adhere to, and that's what we have in place in the military with Don't Ask, Don't Tell right now.
Has this policy been ideal? No, it is not, but it has been effective. It has helped to balance a potentially disruptive tension between the desires of a minority and the broader interests of our all-volunteer force. It is well understood and predominantly supported by our fighting men and women. It reflects, as I understand them, the preferences of our uniformed services. It has sustained unit cohesion and unit morale.
I don't think that they are required to lie about who they are. I think that's an overstatement, although I think the rule of don't ask, don't tell has seemed to work pretty well.
Joining us now is someone whose very existence gives lie to those claims that Don't Ask, Don't Tell is working out great for the country and great for the military. He is Lieutenant Colonel Victor Fehrenbach, an F-15 fighter pilot, a 19-year veteran of the United States Air Force, decorated for heroism. Lieutenant Colonel Fehrenbach was outed by a civilian acquaintance in the midst of an unblemished career, and although he wants to continue to serve his country, his discharge under Don't Ask, Don't Tell is pending. Lieutenant Colonel Fehrenbach, thanks very much for joining us again, particularly because you're standing in a very cold outdoor location.
It is cold, Rachel. Thank you.
When I was in the hearing room today at the Senate, listening to those Republican senators talk about how well Don't Ask, Don't Tell works, how effective it is, in my mind, I just wanted to hear your response to that. What is your response?
Well, first of all, let me say this, that, Senator McCain is actually a hero of mine, so it was very disconcerting and very disappointing to hear that. He is actually the reason I joined the Air Force 18 and a half years ago, and he's the reason I've stayed in this long. I felt that I owed him personally and his generation a debt, and that I wanted to repay that with the service to my country. So I was extremely disappointed to hear that. Secondly, I would like to hear those that are proponents of this law to explain to me how it's possibly successful, how it's working. I can show you evidence how it's unconstitutional. I can show you evidence how it's blatant discrimination. I can show you evidence how it hurts the combat effectiveness of my squadron in particular. And then when you do it 13,500 times over with people with critical combat skills in the middle of two wars at the cost of billions of dollars, how it hurts national security as a whole. And then I can show you, I can invite these people to come to work with me tomorrow and show you how military professionals don't care about someone's personal private life. They care about somebody who's able to execute the mission, who's dedicated and who's professional. That's what the people I work with care about every day.
Victor, Congress has to repeal this policy. Obviously, it is congressionally created, and Congress has to get rid of it. The military has to implement that repeal. They say they want a year to figure out implementation. But in the interim, the Secretary of Defense today said they essentially want to constrain the way the policy is applied. They say they want to try to make it more fair, at least until they can get rid of it. What's your reaction to that?
Well, I think we'll have to wait and hear. I know my lawyer and the Service Members Legal Defense Network are going to look for more information on that topic. And whether that applies to me and my case in particular, I just don't know yet. What I heard today is, like you said, that they want to look into ways to possibly apply it more leniently while they look into the implementation plan. Now, whether that means that they're going to that takes effect right away and that applies only to future cases, we just don't know yet. We're going to need to hear more details. I hope what it means is that cases that are pending like mine, that hopefully they'll be able to look at the way this was handled and they're able to dismiss my case.
Are you disappointed that the military says it needs a year to study and figure out implementation? Does that seem appropriate to you?
Well, Rachel, that was actually one tiny thing that did disappoint me today, because the way I see it, this issue has been studied for over 15 years now, and the best example I can give is, we've got 25 allied countries that we work with and go to war with every day, and they have ended their bans. And I've actually served with people from Australia, Canada, and the United Kingdom. I've been deployed with them in Tent City and gone to war with them, and it was a non-issue for them. And if we need a year to talk about the issues that we do need to tackle, and there are important issues that we'll need to look at. They talked talked about housing and others. You know, all we need to do is look at the models of our 25 allies. They've tackled these issues and come up with solutions. So I don't think that takes a year. I think we can make a few phone calls and get this done in maybe 30 or 60 days.
How important is it, do you think, for leaders like the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, Admiral Mullen, today, to show personal leadership on this, to say that he's personally committed to repealing this and to doing it right? Do you think that's significant?
Absolutely, Rachel. I think this was a hopeful, promising, historic day. This is the first time we've seen military leaders, you know, the very top of the military, make these kinds of statements. And I do want to just say I was overwhelmed by Admiral Mullen's statements. I was overwhelmed by his commitment. It sounded personal. It sounded from the heart that this wasn't something he was told to do. This was something that was personal and really meant something to him. And I was overwhelmed by that today.
Lieutenant Colonel Victor Fehrenbach, thank you so much for joining us. Get inside somewhere warm, and good luck to you, sir. It's nice to see you.
Thank you, Rachel.